Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of the Global Carnival Summit. Thank you for joining us today. I'll start right with introducing our first moderator for the next panel, and his name is Brian Kowlessar. Brian is a reputed journalist here in Montreal, and we're very happy to have him on board. So thanks, Brian, and we're looking forward to your session.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Montreal World Carnival Summit. In this panel, we're going to be discussing the vital role of tourism in carnival celebrations. As Tony said, my name is Brian Kowlessar, and I am a radio producer and on-air host on CJAD 800. Yeah, it's a local radio station here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And personally, I want to welcome everybody tuning in from wherever you are. I hope you're having a great day and ready for a great conversation. In this panel, representatives from tourism boards and the travel industry, they're going to share that Carnival is not just a cultural celebration. It is a powerful driver of tourism that energizes local economies, promotes cultural exchange, and creates lasting memories for attendees worldwide. Our panelists, they're going to discuss how destination branding, promotional efforts, and partnerships between not only cultural, but tourism sectors contribute to the success these vibrant events. And joining me for today's discussion are the tourism dream team, I like to call them. You got Mark Romig, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer of New Orleans and Company, Isha Herbert Davis, Carnivalista in Chief. Yep, I'll repeat that title because I love that name. Carnivalista in Chief. You also have Émilie, Giguère, Business Development Officer from Jamaica Tourist Board. A huge welcome to all of you. Now, I can't wait to get the discussion going, guys. But first, I would love for you guys to give us just a little introduction and tell us about yourself. Let's start with the Senior VP and Chief Marketing Officer of New Orleans and Company, Mark Romig. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's so happy for me to be here. I serve as Chief Marketing Officer for New Orleans Tourism. New Orleans and Company is our official title. We're the sales promotion and marketing arm for the travel industry here in the city of New Orleans. So our job is to message New Orleans around the world, why we believe we're a wonderful destination for people to come and visit. I have been involved in the business for about 4 decades. I came out of the hotel, restaurant, and tourism school at the University of New Orleans, and I'm a member of 2 Carnival crews as well. I get to ride on a float twice each year, and I'm excited about that, and I can't wait to share our information with the audience.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Now introducing Carnivalista in Chief, Isha Herbert Davis. How you doing, Isha?
I am well, Brian. Good morning, everyone. My name is Isha Herbert Davis, and I'm the Carnivalista in Chief of Events by Ashe, where we plan unique and life-changing Caribbean Carnival experiences. I have experienced carnivals for over 4 decades. It is in my blood. Both my grandmother and my mother played mass during Caravana, and my family is from the Caribbean as well. And we just love taking people to experience our vibrant Caribbean carnival culture. So I'm very happy to be here with you all today.
Awesome to have you. And finally, the lovely Business Development Officer from Jamaica Tourist Board, Émilie Giguère. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Hello, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining. Well, as myself, the only experience in Carnival that I have is virtual. I only have been working for Jamaica Tourist Board for about 1.5 years now, so I haven't had the chance yet to go to destination to really experience it. But between you and I, just by seeing the videos that we have made, I can still feel the vibrant and the culture and the rhythm and everything. So I can still feel that I'm a little bit part of it. I'm looking forward this year to experience it.
Awesome. A huge welcome to all of you guys. And again, welcome to everybody tuning in right now. We're going to get the conversation going. So when we talk about the vital role of tourism and carnival celebrations, it's not just telling you about a cool destination to put on a mask and go and party up. There's a lot more to it. And I like to think that tourism, it can play an important role in not only showcasing a carnival, but also help to boost economies, support local businesses, create jobs, and at the same time, provide a fun and memorable experience. Now, I want to open our discussion and talk about money. That's right, money. Carnivals and celebrations, they're not cheap, but just maybe they're worth the investment. Now, I'm going to start with Mark Romig. Now, you sent me a study that found that the New Orleans Mardi Gras generates nearly, get this, guys, $900 $800 million of economic impact. The study also estimates that the city of New Orleans earns $2.64 for every dollar that it invests in Mardi Gras, which to me is absolutely remarkable. Now, with that kind of boost to the economy, you would think more places would be investing in Carnival. So, Mark, how does the New Orleans Mardi Gras Carnival generate this much economic impact?
Well, you know, we've talked about this before. Mardi Gras occurs in a very compact period of time between January the 6th, which we call King's Day, or 12th night, and Fat Tuesday, the day before Lent begins. But actually, it's a year-round industry. There's activities, there's spending, there's construction, there's planning that goes on throughout the year. The city obviously is invested in this because we rely on the city to handle things like sanitation and first responders, the police presence to make sure that everyone has a secure and safe Mardi Gras. But all of the other expenditures that are occurring, the costumes, the creation of the floats, the year-round planning that happens, the black masking Indians that begin their suit building right after they wear the suit for the period of time, all throughout the year. This is truly a 24/7 industry. And so the spending is occurring throughout the year. There are caterers, there are florists, there are audiovisual companies, everything that comes together to make sure that New Orleans puts on what we believe is to be one of the greatest carnival destinations in the world. And again, for a city that puts up about $10 million a year in its investment for security and trash and things of that nature, to get back a return of that, it's truly an amazing thing. And it's on the backs of volunteers.
That's honestly, like, I think of that return, and like I said to you off camera, I can't believe that other people aren't investing in carnivals when you get that big of a return. You mentioned something I found really interesting. It's a year-round event. It's not just a week. It's not just 2 weeks. Now, you know, I'm in Canada, so I'm born in Toronto, so I'm very used to the old Caravana spectacle. In Montreal, they have like the Carnival spectacle and all that stuff. You know, you play mass, all that stuff. But those are only like a week event. Those are only week-round events. Like, yeah, we celebrate Carnival year-round with certain events, certain parties. But you say Mardi Gras, it's celebrated yearly. And to me, like you were mentioning, it generates tourism. I mean, people go there not just for New Orleans, just to experience like the bayou or eat some shrimp or anything. They're there for Mardi Gras and to take in Mardi Gras. So how does Mardi Gras stand out as a year-round destination? Like, what makes it so popular 24/7, 365? Because I find that remarkable. You know, I don't think other places that put on a carnival, maybe Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, maybe can do what Mardi Gras does.
New Orleans, and the study that was done to base these facts and figures on was done by Tulane University's Dr. Tony Weiss. She spoke to all the various organizations, the carnival crews, as we call them, that are planning throughout the year. And what's happening is that Mardi Gras allows New Orleans to bubble up its culture and its authenticity through the expression that you see out on the streets. The parades are only 12 days in a row, 12 nights, 12 days and 12 nights. But the organizations are holding their balls and the debutante balls and things of that nature throughout the year. And the fact that each neighborhood in the city comes alive with its own culture and its own expression of the depth of what New Orleans has offered the rest of the world. Our music, our food, our artistry, just the history comes alive. And then the brand of New Orleans is associated with Mardi Gras, obviously year round. You go to our website, neworleans.com, and you'll understand how the expression of Mardi Gras really touches everything that we do.
I love that. You know, I think that should be the opening slogan when you talk about carnivals. Have a carnival, set up a carnival, and your return will be almost $900 million.
Well, we've been doing this since the 1700s,
you know, I mean,
so it takes some time to pull all this together. But it is something that we hope everyone can experience in their own culture. Obviously, ours is based on our very strong African and Caribbean connections that we have to New Orleans, along with the European connections, and it all comes together into this gumbo that we call New Orleans. And being a port city, we've welcomed cultures from around the world here to express themselves in their own way.
Cool. Let's open it up a little bit more, guys. what are some key partnerships that have successfully elevated carnival events as tourist attractions? So I'm talking like key partnerships, whether it's local government, tourism board, local businesses. Putting on a carnival isn't a one-person show. So who are the key partnerships that you need in order to elevate carnival events as main tourist attractions? I'll open it up if anyone wants to take that question.
I can take that question, Brian.
Perfect, Isha.
I think some of the key partnerships and being a tour operator, that's the official thing that we're called. The tourism boards in each of these carnival destinations really have a very big role in promoting carnival events. Partnering with promoters that has been very, very successful throughout the Caribbean as well. Different we used to call them fete promoters back in the day, right? Like this person had their own fete going on, that person had their own fete going on. These have turned into complete powerhouses in terms of bringing events. I'm thinking about Tipsy Weekend in Barbados, so things like that. They have become really, really big drivers, especially around carnival time, in bringing their events to different islands throughout the Caribbean. So it would be really, really, that would definitely be one of the key partnerships, partnering with promoters to bring different events during the carnival season. I think that is definitely a key partnership that can elevate these events, because the promoters, they have a different audience than the tourism boards are already connected to. So I think that's one key partnership that has worked really, really well, I would say, especially post-pandemic. I've seen several successful promoters take the events to different islands throughout the Caribbean and have generated that interest as a tourist attraction.
Well, Issa, you mentioned the promoters. Do they work independently, or is it more of a collaboration? Like, I mean, you mentioned that the promoters do a great job in, promoting the events and giving people, especially tourists, a taste of what the event might be like. But is there any support within the local government with these promoters, or do they just work independently? They go out like back in the day, hand out flyers. Because
So
I think
yeah.
sorry, I just think that there's something missing, not missing, but I think it'd be beneficial, if there was a little bit more collaboration, not only with just government, but like local businesses. Because I know there are some businesses, especially on the islands, they don't like you putting up flyers in your shop. They don't like,
Yes.
they don't like loitering, as we would say, right? So I kind of find it like, a better partnership might be a little bit more better to promote the events. I'm just saying. I
Yeah,
find.
and yeah, I would definitely agree with that, Brian. Now, speaking of promoters specifically, right, who would promote a certain fete, during crop over or during Grenada Carnival, whatever the case may be. These are, usually independent organizers. I think the barrier or the challenge is getting in touch with and receiving a response from local tourism boards. And that is a
Yeah.
challenge that I've experienced myself with taking my Events by Ashe package to another island. And it has been very challenging to really get in touch with other tourism boards, to really reach out to them and say, hey, I'm bringing, 40 people, 50 people, 60 people or more to experience the carnival on this island. Can you help me with X, Y, or Z? So I know that there are some challenges that exist with that. I think you're absolutely right. There definitely needs to be more of a relationship to work together with local government, local tourism boards, with other people who are coming from outside of the island, to make sure that they're driving business to local businesses. Because that's one of the things that we are especially very, very particular about with our packages. Going into any Caribbean country, is to make sure that we are supporting those local small businesses. We use independent taxi drivers. We do a lot of things that help to support those local businesses, because it's all a trickle down effect, right?
Yes.
Especially with the Caribbean carnivals, it trickles down from the international hotels to this, to that, to that. By the time it gets down to the local small businesses, sometimes it's crumbs, right? So there really has to be a deliberate effort by all of people, myself included, going into these carnival celebrations to make sure that you are, bigging up the local businesses, make sure that you're supporting and using your dollars, encouraging the people you're bringing with you to use local businesses. And that's definitely something that we have taken a lot of effort, or put a lot of effort into doing, but there definitely needs to be more, to your point.
Yeah. Yes, I always say support local. Let me bring Émilie in on this. Émilie, what are some key partnerships that you see that have successfully elevated carnival events as main tourist attractions?
For sure, like she said, little promoting company always help us. But we've been doing carnival for many, many years. Not as many years, of course, as New Orleans. We're not there yet. But I think we've been very good by doing some promotion, and also always including local support. For us, it's very important. On another hand, I understand that we would, as a tourism board, we would love to support all of those little events that are coming to us, and that would love to come to Jamaica. But as a tourism board, we our money also comes from the government, and sometimes we're limited with the amounts of event that we can actually sponsor. Not that we wouldn't like, but money is always a factor, unfortunately. And yes, some of the islands have more money than others. But yes, we do work, especially with our local community, as much as possible. But when we bring people from abroad, we also, just like Isha said, we work with the locals to make sure that this is where they'll be staying. We make sure to have local drivers and local guide to have them, also experience our island, see the difference in our carnival versus their own island or where they come from. But we're proud of our roots, and we want to show that through them as well. So we also try to do that as much as possible. It's very important because we need to be a one team, as we say in Jamaica, out of many, one people. So no matter from which side of the industry you're coming, if we work as a team, we make the event work, and we make people want to come back year after year, and be part of those celebrations.
Sticking with the locals stuff, because I find that interesting. I'm always about supporting local, especially from the tourism side. In what ways can hospitality and travel industry support local businesses during a carnival? Like, you guys offer, would you guys say that just prepaid packages, or is there maps? Are there apps? We're in the age of technology. Are there apps that say, hey, go check out this shop, go check out this beach, go check out, like, how do you support these local businesses?
Yes, well, of course we do that. Sometimes we have like QR codes that will be like, you'll scan the QR code and it will bring you to different local artisans that we work with, because these are very important. We also make sure to bring them on site. So not only being available, like say virtually, but also being there on site. So we'll use them, let's say for example, to do the decoration of our carnival, and they'll have a little notice to say where it comes from. So people actually can go by again and see those places and say, hey, listen, I was there at this event and I saw this beautiful sculpture, or I saw this lady wearing this beautiful dress. Oh, I've heard that it was in Kingston. Oh, I've heard that is this particular shop. I need to go there. So this is something that we do. We also work with them sometimes, like especially for repeat guests, either to offer special discount in their shops, or even in their restaurant, or even in their local attractions. So this is very important for us, because that's the way that we can, not only because, let's say, for example, you have a one-time event and the person is there and you see that person and there's no business card, no nothing. And then the person was like, oh gosh, I forgot to buy it. I thought the person was going to be back tomorrow, and the person is not there. If there's no where people can actually find those people, when it's not good. So that's why, sometimes we even have like a little sheet that has the listing of all those local people that are here, and their phone number, their if they have, let's say, for example, no website, most of these days people have have social media, so they'll be mentioning their
Yeah.
social media. So that's a very good way, I think, and we're proud of that. And I think most of the people around the world that does Carnival are using these opportunities.
Isha, you want to touch on it? Mark, anybody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, Isha, I don't want to step on you. Go. I'll come in after you.
Oh, sure. Well, what I wanted to add was just examples that I've seen of supporting local businesses that have worked really well in Trinidad. During Carnival, they'll have a Carnival village, and it's built up around the savannah, and there's all these different booths that are artisans, local food vendors, a whole schmishmash of small businesses. And to Emily's point, that don't have websites or don't have whatever the case may be. But I think that's a really ideal marriage right there. You put local businesses in a spot where tourists are going to be, right? It's right around the savannah, and they can go down there, they can get stuff, they can buy gifts, really unique gifts, taste the local food, and really get into everything. The savannah is the hub of Trinidad Carnival. It's where Panorama takes place. That's where all of the parade passes through. All of the parades pass through there. So that's one instance that I've seen that works really, really well. Another instance that I've seen has been with the international hotels who work with local vendors to provide carnival related services on site at the hotels. So where these local businesses may not get that kind of exposure to people who are coming in for the carnival, they are set up already at the hotel, and they can do that. One barrier that I've seen with especially smaller local businesses is the ability to accept electronic payments. And I know there are some strides being made in Trinidad. I'm not sure about the other islands with WePay, and making sure that people who have, these smaller local businesses who do not have access to get electronic payments and accept it from travelers, because, travelers, they don't really have a lot of local cash, or they have limited local cash, so that they can have the opportunity to accept electronic payments and thus increase their sales value,
yeah.
when they are making those transactions.
Awesome. Mark?
Yeah, it's interesting. Both Isha and Emily have described what I think we experience here. It's all grassroots, and it's interconnectivity between organizations, ensuring that the spending occurs local. These crews have been in business. I say business, they're all nonprofits, but they have been operating for decades. They buy local. The craftspeople are all local. Everything is built locally. There's no need to have to import vendors into the New Orleans community because it's all here, which gives rise to what we talked about earlier, that this is really a year-round operation. A float will be on the street on a Monday night in a parade. The next day it gets back to its den, as it's called, where it's housed. They start stripping the float down and rebuilding the parade and the theme for the following year. That's the sort of work that goes on. Costumes are used one time. Floats are seen one time, and then they're redone for the next year with a new theme. And so the spending is local. We ensure that we're telling that local story as often as possible. And we'll get into it, I know, later in this panel talking about social media, but that's so important to spread the word around the world that this is something that we're so very proud of, and that these are men and women, families that work together year round to produce what we believe to be a great Mardi Gras.
Awesome. Just sticking with this whole local theme, just 1 second. I just want to ask all of you guys, with the respected carnivals that you guys are involved with, are there any, pushback as far as, you mentioned local businesses, and, there's some places where you do need permits to have events. There are some places where you do, you just can't sit there and hold an event. You know what I mean? You can't just sit there and have a party. You do need, support from your local government and your municipalities and all that stuff. So from dealing just with the carnivals that the respective carnivals that you guys are involved with, how is that relationship between local government and the organizers of an event?
It's very strong because, as we said earlier, the city reaps benefit. So they've institutionalized the permitting process, the one-stop shop. You need your parade permit. You need to have safety review of the floats. The fire department gets involved to make sure that everyone's going to be safe. So there's a everybody's working together. The city and the state of Louisiana, for that matter, understand the importance. And so there's a lot of respect given to these organizations because remember, these organizations are volunteers. Mardi Gras happens because people of like mind come together to express their culture and express their traditions. And the city sees this as an opportunity to show off the city in a very good way. It's a family celebration. Sure, it has its adult and nightlife aspect to it, but the city knows that it plays its role importantly, and they've made it easy, I would say, for the organizations to be on the street to do their walking crews or their floats and parades in a very safe and secure way.
Émilie, how about I know that there's a new carnival happening in Jamaica, what is it, Bacchanal Jamaica or something like that. So that's a new festival. Is there any
We always
pushback?
have new festival.
I can
We're
I can imagine. I can imagine. But is there any pushback? I mean, with government, is there any pushback? Is it easy to acquire a permit?
I think from what I'm aware, it is easy. Even sometimes, we'll have events which is just a family that owns a super huge place, and they're like, it's going to be like a local promoter that will come up to them, because I've seen that, which is kind of very cool, by the way. So they'll come up to them and they'll say, hey, by the way, I'd like to do a party. Can I rent this place? Can we trash here? And I've seen it, especially like on International Heroes Days. I was there recently, and so they had parties like everywhere, and they just randomly like spoke to the owner of the place and asked them, and then they asked the city, could we get the permit? And then, oh yeah, it would be nice to have a party here. So of course, sometimes depending on the size, when it's bigger carnival, I don't think we have any issues, because we've been doing that again for several years, and we all consider that it's benefits to work together. So it benefits it benefits the city, it benefits the local, it benefits the government, it benefits the tourism industry, it benefits everyone. So that's why, as New Orleans, we're trying to make some of our festival being year round. No, we won't be able to be exactly the same. That's why we have different kind of festival and different kind of carnival. But the sense of carnival, I think it's something that it's part of the roots of the Caribbean, and it's something that needs to continue to be elevate and to have a sense. Yeah, that's what I would say.
And Brian, I want to say too, we have over 100 festivals in New Orleans throughout the year. And each festival brings together music and food and a cause. They're usually attached to some sort of cause, like American Cancer Society or support of musicians. But each of these carnival or festivals have a little element of Mardi Gras in it, and so it allows the expression to keep occurring year round. This is separate and apart from what happens with Mardi Gras and all the crews and floats and organizations, but it's just another way for New Orleans to exemplify its culture and how it bubbles up from the street.
Isha, I mean, you love the Caravana, you love going back to Trinidad, you love these carnivals. Do you find are they supported, within their local government? Do you find is it hard? Because I can imagine Trinidad, it must have tons of parties happening all over the island. As soon as you get off the plane, the party is going on. And like I mentioned, I mean, you just can't really have a party anywhere. I mean, you do need to have a permit. You do want to make sure you're doing things right. Do you find that there's any pushback from the carnivals that you've been involved with?
Not necessarily pushback, and to be clear, I don't really organize the fetes, right? The big events that happen. I like to partake and go, with my clients. But from what I have heard, I think it's more in terms of the red tape. you know, there can be delays when you're applying for a permit for whatever venue or an alcohol permit or whatever or media permits, you know, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, the media access is a big thing, you know, so you have to have your media permit if you're going to be taking pictures, video, whatever of the throughout the carnival, officially at least anyway. So it's more in terms of the red tape. I mean, I think a lot of good can happen when you remove the red tape, you know, it's not as much red tape. I understand there needs to be a vetting process and all that stuff, but sometimes it's the delays, you know, and that comes with bureaucracy and with larger organizations, right? So that's what I have heard about, you know, dealing with or planning larger events during any carnival time throughout the Caribbean. It's just a matter of the red tape.
Awesome. Thank you. Again, I just want to welcome everybody for tuning in for our panel talking about tourism and the vital role it plays in carnival celebrations. I want to remind everybody that we're going to open it up at the end of this session for a little Q&A, about 15 minutes. If you scroll down, you'll see a little Q&A box. You click on that. You could leave us your message, or at the end of the session, I'll ask you to raise your hand and you can ask our amazing panelists your questions. So we're going to keep it moving. So guys, how do you travel and tour operators? And I want you to think of the Carnival, because I love this panel that I have. I got Jamaica, I got Trinidad, and I got the USA. So this is just perfect. This is a perfect question. How do travel and tour operators create unique packages that allow tourists to experience the depth of carnival culture, while also, and this is the big part I find, respecting local traditions? And I want to emphasize on local traditions, because I find like you just can't, like I said, put on a mask, go party, and treat, you know, the people, the destination as it's your own backyard. I mean, I know in New Orleans they have rules and regulations. Trinidad, they have rules. Jamaica, there's rules and regulations. So, guys, I'll ask it again. How do travel and tour operators create unique packages that allow tourists to experience the depth of carnival culture while respecting the local traditions? We'll start with Émilie. Up, you're muted. No problem.
All right. So sorry about that.
That's all good.
I think it's important that the tour operator and the travel industry collaborate with the local expert, artists, and performance and community leader, because that will bring authentic insights. So, they'll make sure, let's say, for example, during carnival time, in some of the hotels, they might have a little welcome package that has, let's say, little spice of Jamaica. It might have a little kind of, let's say, a little bracelet with our Jamaican collar, or maybe our Rastafarian collar. Of course, the hotels will be decorating. Sometimes we even have like the airlines that will be featuring, that will be displayed in their aircraft, especially, let's say, for the first day of the carnival. They'll have, let's say, little flags, or little, like, they'll bring the team. Not only they'll as soon as they get on the plane, there's the team already, and then they get at destination, they arrive at the airport, there's already the team, and then sometimes the transportation in between the hotel will also bring the team. So we want to bring them to that vibe. So the hotels will also bring more local into the hotels, let's say for crafts, or let's say for lessons, like cooking lessons, or even patois lessons, for example, which is our own language for those who don't know, who are not aware about it. So yes, this is very, very important. And we have been doing that for several years, and we'll be continuing. And, we're always looking for more tour operators, always looking for more partnership, because this helps to attract people into the destination and into the carnival.
Totally. Isha, I know this question is kind of dear to you. Again, tour operators creating unique packages, celebrating the local traditions. You find that happening a lot more?
I find it's not happening enough. I'll be very honest with you. And I know Events by Ashe, we and my team, we make a very, very pointed effort to ensure that even before we create the package, like even before we get to the destination, we have information that we are sharing with our travelers to understand that is not just a wine and jam, it's not just a feathered pretty costume, it's not just bikini beads and feathers. The actual meaning of Carnival goes a lot deeper than that. And we take into consideration, as Émilie was saying before, because every island has a different history of Carnival. Every island has a different slant on Carnival, has a different flavor of the Carnival festival and celebration. So we do a lot with our clients to prepare them before they even get to St. Lucia or Barbados or Grenada or whatever the case may be, so they understand the meaning behind the carnival, and also getting into the local traditions. And I'll share a quick story, if I may.
No
One
problem.
of the segments that I like to do in our webinars, as we're preparing our clients to do, is called the couples segment. And this is to prepare couples, who are husband and wife, whatever, you and your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever, to make sure that you understand when you go to the carnivals, yes, somebody is going to whine on your wife or your husband. It does not mean that they are going to take them from you. It just means that they're dancing and they're having a good time. And that is a part of the local tradition. You don't need to, hit anybody in the party or box anybody in the party because they go on and whine on your husband or your wife. That is a part of the local tradition. So, that is very, very, very important to Events by Ashe. And I really don't think it is done enough. And part of it is because, social media, you get your minute or your 30 seconds, right? So there's only so much that you can do to really teach the general public at large about carnival traditions and locally, and what locally happens during a carnival. But we start way before the package. Even when we get to the destination, we definitely have experience, like Émilie mentioned, cooking classes, to learn about the local foods. We also have, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. We also try to build in day trips where we take them to, when it could be a popular destination, or it could be something that's off the beaten track that is not necessarily carnival related, but it also gives them a taste of the culture of whatever destination we're going to. So Brian, you're absolutely right. This is one that's near and dear to my heart. And I really don't think a lot of other carnival operators out there do enough of it to really educate the public at large.
Mark, let's switch it to the mighty US of A now. I mean,
Yeah.
New Orleans. I mean, very, very historic town. I can only imagine, there has to be some unwritten rules. There has to be some local traditions that are followed. How the tourism boards operators stick with it?
It's important, and a lot of it is self-education. We have a wonderful website, neworleans.com, that lays out a lot of the history and a lot of the description of the traditions that go along. But, we've got, as we said earlier, multiple crews. We've got multiple neighborhoods involved, multiple weeks. There's not a clear owner of Mardi Gras. There's not a single owner. It's a group of like-minded citizens that have come together to put this on. So there's no tickets. It's the greatest free show on earth, as we like to call it. And the fact that our hotels are involved, they know that it's a great time for them. Tour packages come together from tour brokers. They allow and have access to some of the floats where they can sell positions onto a float. You can buy a position on a float, and you can be part of a crew, an honorary member of the crew. But it's another expression of how New Orleans is really built to host these sorts of events. We can do Mardi Gras, we can do Super Bowl, we can do Taylor Swift for 3 nights, but it's an acknowledgement that it's important I'm so glad, Isha, you said that. Your hospitality that you just described is what we would like to have as an expression of welcoming people to New Orleans. Come to the city, immerse yourself in our culture, maybe leave with a little part of New Orleans in you. And that would make you want to come back and experience it more and more. But you can come as an individual, you can come as a group. There are opportunities through the hotels or through tour packages, but we ask you to come and respect the culture and immerse yourself into it, but be respectful, because these are families, these are traditions that have been going on for, in some case, centuries. There's one group that comes out on Mardi Gras morning before dawn called the North Side Skull and Bone Gang. They come out, they're dressed in skeleton outfits, and they literally go around the Treme neighborhood knocking on the doors of residents, reminding them of their mortality. That's their mission. And it's another expression of how they want to share their culture. So that's just a small taste of what goes on. And again, it just bubbles up from the street.
Awesome. Yeah, I think anywhere you go, especially on vacation or if you're just going, just a little trip, you go to that place, you do want to take a little bit of it with you on your way back. That's how you know you had a meaningful trip. I mean, that's the whole point. We're going to shift the conversation to experiential tourism now. For those who don't know, experiential tourism, that's tourism in which people, they focus on experiencing a country, the city, a particular place by actively and meaningfully engaging. And this is touching on our previous question with its history, the people, the culture, the food, and environment. So, guys, how has the demand for experiential tourism, you want to go into the city, you want to experience that local life, how has that influenced how carnival events are marketed and packaged to global audiences? We'll start with Mark, especially. I'm very curious with the Mardi Gras.
Well, we invite people to experience New Orleans and to be the experiential traveler is who we believe comes to the city. The attributes that traveler has are the things that we can provide: thrilling, exciting, historical, immersive. And so you can do all that with Mardi Gras. You can ride on a float. You can walk in a walking crew. You can do a second line behind one of the Black Masking Indian tribes. You can feel like you're a New Orleanian for the period of time that you're here. Because we know that if you experience it that way, you're going to talk about it with your friends and family while you're here. And then when you get back home, you're going to start planning your trip back because we believe that you've been bitten by the bug and you want to be part of it again. So that experiential traveler is who we attract. And I think Mardi Gras provides an opportunity for someone to truly get into the culture of the city of New Orleans and understand what we're all about. And that touches the food. Everyone's got a specific food type that they like while they're here in Mardi Gras, whether it's fried chicken, red beans and rice, the beignets, and with some cafe au lait. It all just comes together, and it's just not Mardi Gras, it's year round.
I would like to thank you for making everybody who's tuning in very hungry right now, no matter where they're listening to. I just want to give you a shout out for that. Isha, Trinidad, experiential tourism. I know you put together a bunch of stuff. I mean, does your tours allow people to go inside and like mingle with the locals and experience that? It's not just betting, you know what I mean? Like going on there, getting a homemade double, learning a double recipe, that type of stuff.
Absolutely. And we, like, as Mark was saying, Events by Ashe, we definitely attract the experiential traveler. And part of that is because our packages are built in one way. You are going to experience everything. I have a lot of people who come to me say, hey, I love your package, but I don't want a costume. Is that possible? No, it's just not. So there's a reason. It's very, very deliberate. For that reason, it is a part of the experience. It is a part of really, really getting deep into the roots of the carnival at whichever destination. Now, we do carnivals at 5 different destinations at this point, right? But that is an integral part. Or people will say, I want to come, but I don't want to do Juve. How could you not do Juve? And if you don't know what Juve is, Juve is, huge street party, mud, paint, oil, like the jabs in Grenada, ashes, how could you go to a Caribbean carnival and not experience Juve, right? So our packages are built for that traveler. And the other piece that I want to bring is the millennials. The millennial market, they are all about experiential tourism. Okay, that they want to be in the middle of everything, like everything, right? So that generation that is coming up, they are the ones who are craving these real deep connections to our carnival culture. So we, as tour operators, tourism boards, we have to show them that that is the experience that you are going to get if you come to this destination. That is really the way that the market is going with all of these millennials now. So that's it.
Awesome. Émilie, now, I mean, I don't mean a stereotype, but Jamaica has always been Jamaica. When I say that, I mean it in a really good way. You know, when you think of Jamaica, you think of white sandy beaches, you think of Bob Marley, you think of beef patties, you think of every jerk chicken, you think of all the things, you know, that the Caribbean represents is in Jamaica, within Jamaica. You know, people, they spend thousands of dollars, somewhat millions, just to go down there and get married, you know, private beaches and stuff like that. Now,
Right.
I can only imagine when you go to Jamaica, there must be big time experiential tourism. There must be a lot of people, they want to go into the cities, they want to go into the town, they want to go to the Bob Marley Museum. Is it a big thing for tourism in Jamaica?
Yes,
Experiential
it is.
tourism?
It is very important. And you know, we even have like cruises, like real packages of cruising, which will take place soon in December. We call them the Jamrock Cruise. So
Wow.
this is actually a private promoter that will charter the whole ship of Royal Caribbean and will bring people to Jamaica, but you will have Jamaican artists on board as well, and not only Jamaican
Wow.
artists, but local like reggae artists from around the world. So they will bring them to Jamaica, and in Jamaica they will still have the same sense of carnival and festival flavor that we want to bring them. This is very important for us because, you know, for us, Jamaica, it's all about the vibe. It's all about bringing people to experience Jamaica and, you know, see Jamaica through the eyes of a local, which means participate in those carnival. And even though, just like Asia, we prepare them to see you need to be part of the experience, you will always have some people that will say, no, it's not my type. And it's okay. Like you cannot twist their arms, but
Exactly.
they won't feel the same experience as those people who are like open-minded. They say, let me get into, and when those people are open-minded and they get there, they can feel, you know, they'll have something inside there they've never felt before, and they'll be like, wow, this is what carnival is. And no matter where the carnival takes place, because that little feeling will be the same, but you won't necessarily hear the same types of music or the same type of costume, but the feeling will be the same. You'll be part of it. And
Awesome.
that's why I think people do come back year after year, or some of them, you know, they've experienced one carnival in one country and they decide to experience carnival all around the world. Yes, it's true, and it's great, and we want people like that. But I agree with Isha that, you know, a lot of the influencer these days and the content creators are the one that loves to do like storytelling, are the one that really help us to trigger even more people to the carnival at destination.
Awesome. Again, I want to welcome everybody tuning into our tourism panel right now. We're having a great time this morning. Again, there's only about 15 minutes left. If you guys have a question for any of the panelists, just go down, scroll to the bottom. You'll see a little box that says Q&A. You can put your question in there. As soon as we're done wrapping up, we'll rapid fire those questions. I have a couple more questions left, and they're really important, so we're going to get right to them. Guys, now we talked about, you know, your respective carnivals and everything that you guys are involved with, and we keep mentioning, you know, you want people to come back. You want people to take part of it with you. You want people. There has to be some sort of, you know, incentives. You know, you just can't say, "Hey, come to Carnival." So, could you guys discuss any initiatives or incentives in place to actually encourage like repeat visits for international travelers, especially now? Because let's be honest, traveling is not cheap. You know, it's a lot of money, and especially to these destinations where carnivals are happening, it's quite expensive. So, in order to get like somebody to come, you know, not just once, not just twice, are there any incentives that are offered? Emily, I'll start with you with Jamaica. You guys, are there any like packages? Is there like a Jamaica club card where you can stamp it and, you know, I get that, you know, I get my free trip on the 10th time I come.
Hopefully.
I mean, I'm just saying, is there anything like that? That would be a great idea. I'm just saying. Oh, sorry, you muted, Émilie.
I know I hate this microphone. Yes, yes, I wish we would have some kind of card like that, but no, we do have what we call incentive in place that we send. We have, like, for example, a list of clients that has signed up into our mailing list, if you prefer. And for the repeat guests, yes, we do have, let's say, some discount at local with some hotels. Sometimes it will be with some of our local restaurants. Sometimes it will be to some of the boutiques that they've been visiting. So we'll be giving them some discounts and sometimes just free advantages. Well, if you come here, you'll get this free artist that will be coming over and do a little presentation and things like that. So yes, this is very important for us. And it's by, having repeat business that we know that repeat business will talk to their friend. And we all know that when people are satisfied, they talk to 10 to their people.
Exactly.
And they spread the world. They spread the word. I'm sorry, they spread the world as well, but they
Yeah,
spread the word
exactly.
too. So, that really helps. So it's very important for us to continue doing that. And that also, by doing that, we're also supporting the locals by having them, let's say, do you want to participate in that initiative? And year after year, we have more and more and more and more people that participate. And, sometimes it's a little passport that they have. And inside that little passport, they have coupons to different places that they can show up. And if they get this, well, it's maybe a 2-for-1 or whatever. But yes, of course, it's very important for us to do that.
That's cool. I like that idea of a passport coupons. Isha, I mean, any incentives, anything that could say, hey, I got to come back here?
Yes, yes. And Brian, I just wanted to call out your mug. I just noticed the
Guyanese. Yeah.
Guyanese
Yeah.
representation.
Yeah, trust me.
Big up. I love it.
Yeah, trust me. Well,
Yes. So from Events by Ashe, yes, we offer a discount to our repeat travelers. So, if you come back for another carnival run, another carnival addiction, whatever you develop after traveling with us once, we definitely give you a discount the next time you come, and other times that you come as well. Another thing, to your point, Brian, saying that, these, travel is not cheap. It's definitely a privilege. It's not something that everybody can afford. We offer easy payment plans for our people.
nice.
So you can, from the time one carnival done, you could put down your deposit for the next carnival, and you
Nice.
can pay throughout the year, right?
That's
So
very
what we
smart.
do
I like that.
Thank you. It was my
No
idea.
problem.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's what we definitely do to encourage repeat travelers. And we have several of them who have been bitten very badly by the carnival bug, and who continue to travel with us year after year, destination to destination. Yeah.
Now, Mark, for you, this is kind of a different question because, I mean, I don't know if you really need incentives to travel to New Orleans. I mean, there's a professional football team there. Like you said, you get Taylor Swift, you get concerts, and, the year-round Mardi Gras celebration. So are there actually incentives for, like, travel New Orleans? Or is it just like your regular, 10% hotel discount here? Or are there packages?
Yeah, there's throughout the year, there are a number of ways that the industry incentivizes people to participate and even come back. There's not a club card, though I like the ideas that I was
Yeah. The
hearing.
club
I'm going
card.
to take that back to my boss. But for instance, right now we have something called Holidays New Orleans style. It's our expression of the holidays, the Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, and it runs between now and the end of the year. There are what we call Papa Noel rates. So there's an incentivized hotel rate to get people in. With Mardi Gras, the hotels pretty much sell out. So there's really not a need to incentivize or to discount the hotel rates at that point. But we find that when somebody gets here, they're only here for several days, and they find out there's so much more to do, so they make that return trip. So the fact that we've got these opportunities for people to come back and continue exploring New Orleans, that's really been the incentive for people to return. We do have a nonstop flight now to London on British Air that has brought in an additional amount of European travel. We've always been doing well with our Central and South American and Caribbean friends coming into the city. And again, it's just our job now to message New Orleans out to the rest of the world using our website. I've just shared with everybody on this on the panel our site that's specific to Mardi Gras so that you can see how we express it that way.
Awesome. We only got about 5 minutes left, and I wanted to save this question for last. I have a lot more questions. This has been so great, so fun. But this is the main question right now, especially with tourism, social media, you know, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook Live, Twitch, you name it, Snapchat. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry. Social media, tourism, carnivals.
Yeah,
It seems like to me,
let me just, I'll kick that off and say the importance that we've put to social media is huge. It's a game changer for us because we don't have unlimited resources to buy paid media and put our, advertising, our commercials out there. So social media and earned media to some degree is important. On top of that, the influencer market, bringing influencers in to experience New Orleans and then utilizing their audiences to tell the story has been something we've been doing now for about 10 years. And it's been very, very successful finding those influences around food, around music, around Mardi Gras, around history, and having them tell the New Orleans story and trading off on their audiences that follow them. That's been key for us with social media.
Isha, social media.
Yes. Social media, I completely agree with everything that Mark said there. Social media has been a game changer, especially for small businesses like us, at Events by Ashe. The other digital platform that I really think is untapped with many tourism boards and also with just businesses in general is search engine optimization, SEO. So we get the vast majority of our clients, 80 to 85% of our clients find us on the internet, on the interwebs, as they like to say. And that's because we invested, and when I say invested, time and sweat equity into building our SEO presence and making sure that anytime anybody Googles anything about Trinidad Carnival, Grenada Carnival, St. Lucia, Crop Over, we come up within the top 5 results on Google. And that's still where many, many people are going to find stuff. Right? You can stumble across it on Instagram or Facebook or on, all the other social media platforms that you listed, Brian.
Yeah.
However, I think that's one untapped resource that a lot of people are missing, a lot of businesses are missing, is making sure that you can get found when people are looking for something very specific on Google. All of that being said, however, social media is definitely one that is, cheap, easy, relatively easy to put content out there to make sure that you're driving tourism interest using the hashtags on Instagram, feeding into the algorithm, which changes, as we know, all the time. But it's been really, really huge. It really has been.
Émilie, social media impact on tourism.
Totally agree, especially with the pandemic, that really, really helped out because we had no other way to really get those people excited to either come back to the destination or be back for the first time. So yes, at that point, that's why, we use influencer to come, because I remember I was working for another tourism board during the pandemic, and that was the only way that we could actually do some promotion. We were one of the only destination that actually reopened up for tourism. So if we wanted to bring tourism, we had no choice. The only way we'd had was through those influencers, because the tour operator were not in business. Some of the airlines were, but they were not doing any marketing, any promotions, nothing. So social media really helped us. And I think these days, especially with TikToks and Instagram, destinations like we all three have are so Instagrammable and so TikTokable because they're so beautiful. We have so different things to display. Yes. So that continue to bring some people into the destination. So I think this is here to stay. And there's a way though to use it, because there's the limit is quite small. It could be too much or not enough, but you have to be on the right lane. But if you use it carefully, I think this is something that can be useful for any tourism industry.
Awesome. I love it. Just to wrap up and touch on social media too. I mean, I think it's also important to know that people older people want to experience the carnival culture as well too, right? And some older people, it's hard for them to be mobile, it's hard for them to travel. And what social media can do nowadays, especially with apps like Instagram or even Facebook Live, or even just being able to stream something, I think that gives other people who don't have the means to go access carnivals an opportunity to be there. And I think that's a very important role that social media can play. I know a lot of times people hear about social media and it's negative impacts that it can have. And we all can agree that there are some negative impacts, whether it's, negative reviews or just like gaslighting, certain situations. But in other ways, social media can definitely benefit, especially promoting tourism. I would love if, for each of the respective carnivals that you guys are involved with, start doing a little bit more virtual reality, doing a little bit more, putting on a, I mean, the tech is there. It's 2024, right? The technology is there where we can, show people what they are seeing from their own home. And we've done it through the pandemic. And I think that there's possibility. If anybody wants to touch on that to wrap
Yeah,
up.
Brian, let me mention NOLA.com, NOLA.com is sponsored by our newspaper, the Times-Picayune Advocate. They stream the parades from their office. The parades go down St. Charles Avenue, most of them, and they'll stream the parades each and every night. So someone sitting in Europe or in South America, Central America, or the Caribbean, or in Asia can actually watch these Mardi Gras parades as they go down the street. And there's interpretation of the theme and the discussion of the bands and the marching groups. So that's one way for someone to be at home and to experience Mardi Gras. So if you go to NOLA.com, the name of the program is called Mardi Gras for All Y'all. And it's just another way to bring Mardi Gras. Yeah, Mardi Gras for All Y'all. We're New Orleans and Company is one of the sponsors of that. So that's just our way to help tell the story of New Orleans, utilizing the streaming, which is important.
Awesome. Got anyone else want to touch on that? Anything about social media and just like inviting people, who can't really experience it? Anybody on that?
Well, I know on our side, we do have like YouTube channels that will be streaming live on some of the specific events of the carnival. So yes, people can actually really stream. Of course, we always have like the local TV that are there that you can find on internet that you can actually, because this is how I usually watch it. That's why I said I've seen it virtually.
Yeah.
So I just go live onto one of our local TV and I just watch it from there. So yes, there's a way, especially these days, to still be part of it, even though you cannot necessarily, unfortunately, you had to cancel because you had something. Well, at least there's still a way for you to kind of living it, but it's just going to give you a little hint. It's just going to give you a teaser because it's going to tell you need to come.
Exactly.
And that's what we want. That's the point of having those.
Isha, anything?
I'm all for it. Absolutely. And I think agreeing with Émilie, it's just really it's gonna tease you. It's gonna tease you. You're gonna be like, I need to be at the next one. And I think that's the big part that social media has played as well, with the reels and all of that. It has really highlighted, especially some of the smaller carnivals that are not as internationally known, right? A good 30-second reel of, the jab in Grenada, or, it just makes you feel like, oh, I need to be in the middle of that, right? So yeah, exactly. I'm all for it, definitely.
Cool. First, I want to thank you guys for an hour. It went by so fast. I didn't even get a chance to answer all the questions that I have, but the conversation has been absolutely remarkable. I love you guys right now. Again, for those who are tuning in, I call this my tourism dream team. You got all three aspects here. You got the USA, you got Trinidad, you got Jamaica. This is the perfect panel for tourism. Now, I got a couple questions. We have about 7 minutes, so I'm going to try to rapid fire through these questions. So we're going to try to keep answer how you want, but we're going to go right to it. Guys, when is the right moment to organize our coming to your carnival? So in other words, like how in advance do you have to, prep or book or think of booking before going to your respective carnival? Émilie, we'll start with you in Jamaica. What would you say is the right amount of time?
As soon as possible. Don't wait last minute.
Good answer.
I was going to say the same thing now.
Not only that, it's just because
if this was Family Feud right now, we would all be clapping and saying, good answer. That's the number one answer, because that is it. ASAP, right? But continue.
the reason why we say ASAP is because you want to be part of it. So it means you want to be central. By being central, it means you want a specific hotel. You want a specific category room. If you wait at last minute, forget about that. Not only it won't be available, but the price will be so high. So why would you wait at last minute? Especially like with Isha, what she said. With Isha, you can book with her and you can pay ahead of time. So there's no reason for you not to book in advance.
Mark, New Orleans.
Now.
Yeah,
Mardi Gras
exactly.
Day is March the 4th. That's Fat Tuesday. That's the day before Lent. That's the culmination. But it begins, if you're going to be coming in for the parades begin 12 days earlier on the Friday night of the weekend prior to the big weekend. So usually hotels are requiring 3-night minimums, some not, but for the most part they are. And it's not too early to go online. Go to neworleans.com and you can navigate the hotels, the locations. You can get some history of Mardi Gras, and it's never too early to start.
Isha?
Agreed with all. Yes. I mean, Brian, we are already selling 2026 packages as we speak.
Wow.
So yeah, I agreed with all.
Oh, right. So how in advance? Like a year in advance, you guys can already book flights and already do all that stuff?
So yeah, a year in advance, you can get flights on major airlines for sure. Hotels, internationally branded hotels, they will start selling 2 years in advance. So you can really book as far in advance as you possibly can for any, Caribbean carnival at this point. Yeah.
I'm getting another question here. Anyone can answer this. How do you be a part of the team during a parade? Now, Mark, this is specifically for you for New Orleans, but you guys can answer this too, Émilie and Isha. I'm guessing when you mentioned team, like being a part of the parade or even masquerading,
there are certain crews that do offer guest riderships.
Really?
Yes, you can buy a position on a float because look, the costume costs money. The throws, our parades, the people are throwing beads and doubloons and things like that. So if anyone's interested, I could put them in touch with those crews that do that. They can send me a question or note at mark@neworleans.com and I can put them in touch.
Isha?
So you can purchase a costume from, a mass band. That's what they're called across many of the Caribbean islands, or band house as it's called in Barbados. You can purchase a costume to be a part of the parade, to be in the parade. You can be a spectator if you like. I just think it's more fun to be in the middle of everything. So I would highly recommend that you find a mass band. Google it. Google is your friend. If you are going it alone and you're planning your own Caribbean Carnival experience, Google is your friend. So,
I'm so glad you said that, Isha.
Yes.
Because we do ask people to wear costumes if they come from Mardi Gras Day, and they can be in the crowd, but just be like everyone else. So you don't need to be on a float. You can just be part of the audience.
Émilie, I'm assuming.
Because I
agree with Isha.
Sorry, Émilie, go ahead.
No, I totally agree with you. I would say Google is your best friend. And
but
of
I'm
course,
assuming, there's
probably like the organization that, are always looking for some volunteers. So I'm assuming some of the volunteers will get dressed as well. But yes, I would agree with Isha. Google will probably be your best friend.
Awesome. We're just gonna wrap it up, but I'm just gonna give you guys about a minute each. We have like 3 minutes left. I know it's a pretty wide-ranging question, but again, just to wrap it all up, how vital would you guys say is tourism when it comes to promoting a carnival?
It's a partnership.
Mark, partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And would you guys agree it's a partnership within all aspects? I mean, we're talking on the local side, we're talking organizers, the volunteers. I don't think volunteers get enough shout out or praise for what they do, especially when it comes to bringing light to a carnival or just, getting the word out.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely a partnership, to educate, to make sure that things go seamlessly, from a security perspective, making sure that all people who come into the country are safe. It's definitely a partnership amongst all, and not just on the tourism board or on the local government or on the promoter or the tour operators.
Yeah.
It really is a partnership. Yeah. And when all of those things work well, those are the best carnival experiences, right?
And you know, I'm sorry, I know we didn't, I know we're running out of time, but we didn't even get to touch on this, and I really wanted to bring this up, and I wanted to talk about security, because that's another thing that's very big, especially when it comes to tourism, security. I mean, you hear stories, everybody hears stories about, especially certain destinations, New Orleans, Jamaica, Trinidad, anywhere. I can, behind me, you can mention, there'll be a story or something. But we can all agree that the travel and tourism boards from all respected, carnivals or destinations, they really do a great job when it comes to security. Émilie?
Yes, I totally agree. You know, we work not only with like the local police, for example, or the local instance. But
Yep.
you know, if we have to, especially when it's very big event, well, we'll be sourcing like other security company that will come and help to provide. It doesn't mean that something cannot happen. You know, that can happen
Exactly.
everywhere in the world. You're always gonna have somebody who drank too much, who took some drug, and unfortunately just go boom.
Yeah.
That can be anywhere. Okay, even
Yeah.
in Montreal. Okay, it's not only in
Well,
Jamaica.
not in
Okay,
Montreal. Not in Montreal, Emily. How dare you?
yes,
That doesn't,
especially.
that doesn't happen here.
So, you know, the security will do their best, but
Yeah.
yes, that can happen. But you know, the security are not there to make people not have a good time. They're just there for their security, but as well for the security of the surrounding. You know, and I think they're doing a great job, and
Yeah.
they're proud to participate in those events. You know, for them, they don't consider this as work. They're proud to be of it. They're proud to be part of it because they know that they're super important. And I think like people tell them, you know, they're happy that they're there. And yeah, we need security, of course. They're very important.
Isha, and a little bit of
Absolutely.
time. Isha, a
Yeah,
little bit
I,
of
I
time
just
left.
wanted to add, yes, there is a security presence, police presence, and all of it works together and it's great. However, for people who are traveling to these destinations, and this is a part of the education that we do with our clients as well, you need to have your wits about you, right? It's really not the time to, as Émilie was saying, take some drug and drink and be in a
Yeah.
ditch somewhere. That's
Yeah.
not the life we want for you, right? So it's also a responsibility of the travelers and tour operators who are bringing people to countries as well to say, hey, you are not going to Busty Bar. You cannot drink all of the alcohol in Jamaica and or all of the alcohol in St. Lucia or Grenada. It's just not going to happen, right? So you
Yes.
also need to have some measure of responsibility as a tourist, right? To make sure that you are you keep your wits about you. You're staying in groups. You're with your friend. You have your buddy. Whatever you need to do to
Exactly.
make sure that you are looking out for yourself too. Because yes, we can have, as Émilie was saying, we can have all of the safety and security and police in the world, but at the same point in time, you also need to have some responsibility in that.
And I would like to wrap up with Mark and the whole security issue, because Mark is hailing from the big US of A. And we all know, I mean, the USA is king. We can all agree on that. But when it comes to security issues, and I'm very curious, especially with Mardi Gras, with all the people that come there, all the money it generates and everything, the security in Mardi Gras is really there, right?
Yeah. You've got a great police force, the men and women that wear the blue, New Orleans Police Department do this day in and day out. They've done Mardi Gras. They know how to work with large crowds. To Isha's point, everyone's got to have common sense as well. And if you come visit any other urban destination, you need to, like you say, have your wits about you. We work with a lot of regional partners to ensure that when we invite people to our home and to our city, that they can ensure that they have an exciting, memorable, and safe experience. But that's important. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the first thing that'll turn people off from coming to a destination if they feel like they can't go there and enjoy themselves and spend their hard-earned money in your destination. So we respect that, and we want to make sure that people have a good time.
And again, like we've been preaching all panel this morning, Google is your friend. Google can be your friend. So, if you're ever worried or if you ever have any questions, use Google as your friend. Guys, I think that's a perfect way to end our discussion about the vital role of tourism in carnival celebrations. I want to give a huge shout out and thank our panelists, Mark Romig, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer of New Orleans and Company, Isha Herbert Davis, Carnivalista in Chief, and Émilie Giguère, Business Development Officer, Jamaica Tourist Board. Thank you all for your participation. And I also want to thank everybody involved in the Montreal World Carnival for all of your hard work in putting this event together. This did not happen overnight, I'll tell you that. Also, shout out to all of the sponsors. We hope to see you all in Montreal 2025. Until then, keep the carnival spirit alive and support your local and favorite carnivals. I am Brian Kowlessar. I want to tell you guys, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, thank you so much for tuning in and have an amazing day.
Thank you so much, Brian.
No
It has
problem.
been
Love it.
such a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Mark, Émilie, Isha. Really, the conversation went over any expectations that I've had, and I'm very grateful to have you this morning. And thank you to everyone who's assisting this morning. I think that, the segue as you left the conversation, Brian, it was perfect for the security panel that we're about to have with some of these experts that are coming through.
We
We're
call that a
starting at
radio tease. We call that a
15 minutes. We'll
tease.
take a short break for everybody to just relax. You can go have a coffee or some wine, depending on where you are at the time in your time zone.
Thank you.
So we'll
Been a
take a
pleasure.
short break, and we'll be back at about 10:30 for security with Yardley, Milena, and Chris from the UK. Thank you so much, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. Enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.